You're gonna interrupt him. You guys gotta send pictures, nude pictures back and forth during this.
How close do I need to be to the thing?
Nipple photos. Whoa.
Yeah, I do that too. I'm just gonna send you pictures of your own back and torso. Check this out.
You should just do it like late at night. Yeah. It's just creepier. I wake up. Oh, why? How did that happen?
I feel like I'm on rodeo.
Zoom in on your butt.
I feel like I'm at a country bar.
That is.
That is a nice butt. I must say.
Well, you were tattooing.
How close?
Like, leaned over and I
is that
saw the
like that?
I was like, what the fuck does he have on his back? Like it was automatically like that bold. I was like, I need to know what's on his back. I was like, whoa, what's he got? What's he got? He's like, oh, he's got that photo sword from Chris O'Donnell. I was like, I gotta see this shit.
Yeah. That's, I do that on purpose. Just tight low riders. Are we on? Yeah, of course we're on.
No.
Oh my God, you should see it. Take it off. Take it off.
We'll take it off after this podcast.
Should we do a podcast just about your tattoos?
No, I don't want. I don't want to do that.
About your front and back.
No, I want to talk about your tattoos. But I want to get to know you deep and dirty.
Yeah.
So I'm here with John Glessner. Is that correct?
Yes.
Present. of sound mind.
I think so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Johannes talks a lot about you. He was. I
don't know why.
He was talking you up quite a bit.
Probably all bad things.
You're in my dreams every night.
I think he's got a man crush. Honestly.
Well, I mean, look at all that gold.
He's so fancy.
Yeah.
Don't get too far behind me, okay? Get closer. But yeah, nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, and
I love your paintings.
Oh, thank you.
Like your flash.
Thank you. Yeah, tell me about yourself. What's your sign?
Well, I'm a Leo. I'm 24.
No, you're not. You're 24?
Oh.
Long walks. Well, not too long. I get winded.
Yeah. Stairs are a no-go.
But he was telling me, and we were talking the other night about you living in Sweden.
I did.
Yeah.
My wife is from Västerås, Sweden.
Västerås, yeah. Where is that in relation to like Stockholm or?
It's about an hour northwest of Stockholm.
Okay.
I think it's like the 6th largest city in Sweden, which Sweden isn't very big.
No.
It's like the size of Pennsylvania.
And how did you end up meeting her?
I was in Los Angeles visiting some friends, working, and tattooed her, and we just hit it off.
Nice. She
stole me. She stole my heart.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Had you been tattooing a long time when you met her?
Yeah, I mean, it was only, I think we've been married for 6 years, and I think we were together for 2 years before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'd been tattooing a little while. And
you done a lot of traveling, from what Johannes was telling me. Did a lot of working in East Coast as well.
Yeah. I grew up in a small town, so I couldn't wait to get out and go see the bright lights and the big cities. And, you know, I just wanted to work with a lot of different tattooers and just kept, chasing.
Yeah. Where was that originally?
I was born in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, best known for the flood.
Okay.
There was like a huge flood there in, I don't know when the first one was, but the second one was in like the 70s. And they also filmed the Paul Newman movie Slapshot there.
Oh,
yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, my mom and dad were like, I mean, you can't see them in the movie, but like they just like had people come in for all the crowd scenes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And got to meet Paul Newman.
That's amazing.
Kind of cool.
I got to see it in the theater again. They played it at the Coolidge Corner Theater in Boston, and it was fantastic on the original film as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to go, and actually when the Chiefs were still there when I was a kid, I was lucky enough to go see it was the Johnstown Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
instead of the Charlestown Chiefs like in the movie.
Right.
And they also used to do monster truck rallies there.
Yes.
Yeah. It was the War Memorial was the name of the ice arena.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. And what got you into tattooing in general?
I don't know. I've always been drawing and painting as far back as I can remember. At an early age, being drawn to like just cartoons, old Tex Avery cartoons, and all the Chuck Jones and Woody Woodpecker, all the old stuff. I was really drawn to the flat colors and bold outlines. I just was always drawing, and then got into skateboarding, and skateboarding had like a lot of graphics, and then punk rock, and through reading skate magazines was exposed to tattoos and
right.
music, and through music, tattoos.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was kind of inevitable, or like do something
with art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, I did a lot of skating as well, and I remember just going to skate shops and just going through each of the decks, flipping through a magazine in a way. It was so cool just to check out different images, and it was totally what you wouldn't see anywhere else. The graphics were a little bit more crude or off color, more like lowbrow, and
Yeah. Especially when I finally got into skateboarding, my subscription to Thrasher at the age of 12. And then between 12 and 13, started going to like the local skate park at the time. And that was about the time when they were doing the fucked up blind kids.
What is that?
Decks. Like they did a series of decks. I can't remember what company it was for, but it was like the fucked up blind kids. And it was like a spoof on the Garbage Pail Kids.
Okay.
And like one of the skaters as a caricature of them sniffing glue and stuff. So it was like that transition from what Santa Cruz was doing with like all the Jim Phillips stuff. It was definitely kind of going a little more risque, pushing buttons with the graphics.
Right. Jim Phillips is the one with the screaming hand.
Yeah.
We in Boston, there was a skate shop called Orchid across the street, and there was a big Jim Phillips show. And one of the entries for it, they had the stamp, and that you had to stamp the mouth right on the hand to show your entrance. And
it's awesome.
It was super cool, and there was just a ton of memorabilia and old decks. It was super cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. His son now, Jimbo Phillips, is carrying on the torch. He's definitely got his own style, but it's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a little more detailed and advanced than what his dad was doing, but it's still really cool to see that he picked up and is carrying that torch.
Mm-hmm. And you do a lot of painting and drawing on your own besides tattooing?
As much as I can.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I pissed away a lot of time in my 20s carrying on,
mm-hmm.
and partying and just living the high life. And now I got a wife and kids, and like Randy was saying, it totally changes your perspective on a lot of things. And any downtime I have, I paint. It's kind of like my daily meditation. It really just helps me. And I feel like if I'm at the shop and there's nothing going on, I want to be doing something. I want to be progressing as much as I can. And the shop that I'm at is just, I work at two different shops, but the one shop, it's a lot of young talent, and they're so driven and just pushes you. And there's always a revolving door of guest artists coming through and being exposed to so many young tattooers. Just even walking around this convention is just holy shit. Mm-hmm. There's so many good tattooers.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever rest on your laurels once in tattooing.
No.
You never reach that point. I look around and I'm just like, all right, I got to work more. I got to catch up and rearrange things, make it work better. But I think it's a good thing to do because it doesn't get boring that way. You might feel like you get fed up having to keep up with it, but it's the only way you're going to get better as an artist.
I feel like with a lot of my peers and even the guys that might be the generation ahead of me, a lot of the guys that I worked with, it seems like it's always trying to just stay relevant,
mm-hmm.
or having that fear just pushes you harder and harder and harder. It's like most of the guys that I look up to and talk to the most about it, I feel like that's how you can kind of tell and judge how many people's hearts are really in the right place too, is they're really pushing, just driven and always doing something, just always thinking about tattooing. It never stops.
Sure. You're doing a lot of designs for future clients that don't exist yet?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times at the shop, sometimes I don't feel like pulling out paint or whatever. I started years ago, downtime, I just draw something up and started putting together a line drawing book and stuff, just so people come in, I have something to show them. Especially at conventions, it's really helped out, just having that book out there with pre-drawn designs, and gives people a better idea, makes my life a lot easier. And it's been beneficial. I get to do a lot of fun stuff now. People just picking stuff out of the book, or, you know, having paintings or flash that out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
What do you do at the shop? Let me start that over. let me form a question before I talk. A little bird whispered in my ear that you do a lot of like freehand work, and especially at this convention, you were doing freehand work as well. Something that you do often, or do you prefer to have something prepared ahead of time?
I mean, it all depends. Lately, over the last few years, I've definitely tried to loosen up a little bit and not do things as tight and technical. A lot of times it's more fun too, just filling in an area. It fits better. I don't know. It's been a fun challenge. It's been a way to just challenge myself and see how things go, just see how it comes out.
Was that something you kind of eased into, or you just made a decision?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't overnight. Before, I would spend a lot of time drawing and prepping and like overthinking stuff. It's definitely helped me gotten a new rhythm for drawing, and like just feeling like things are coming out more naturally, instead of trying to draw the same shapes and do things this way because it has to be this way. Trying to get outside of the box a little bit more and play around with shapes and change up what I'm doing, reinvent what I'm doing. And
sure.
I mean, I think most artists are the same way. Over time, you just kind of want to try something new and evolve, and sometimes it's for the best, and sometimes you look back at it and you're like, yeah, what was I doing there? That was a bad idea.
But do you feel like you're at a point now with doing freehand work where you can kind of rely on the vision that you had going onto the skin? Or
yeah, sometimes. I mean, and then, you know, I mean, just like sketching on paper, sometimes it's, you sit down, you start kind of sketching stuff out, and then I'll start to see certain shapes or movement and stuff and be like, okay, well, this needs to go here, and then I need something to balance this out, you know, and it just starts to come.
Yeah, I like to do a lot of ballpoint sketch just on a sketch pad, and sometimes I feel like those are way more interesting looking than when I were to redraw it and make it into a finished, polished tattoo. And so I definitely see that in my own work. I like the energy in those sketches, but how to actually translate it over. And in the past, I used to do a lot more freehand, but I guess I'm too paranoid. Things aren't going to work out the way I want it to, and so I take it back. But I see a lot of people look up to are doing a lot of that, and they're just kind of letting things go and being kind of free. Are you thinking a lot when you're drawing, or just kind of letting it flow?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, also too, like with drawing so much, painting so much, like a lot of times early on I worked with a few guys in Philly, my buddy Brad Kendall and Adam Shields. Those guys really kind of taught me how to paint flash.
I used to work with Adam.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, at Body Graphics.
Nice.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. He's an amazing flash painter, and no one knows who he is. He's kind of aloof. Working with him and Brad, it taught me formulas. A lot of like fundamental stuff I remember from when I was younger, looking at learning how to draw books and cartooning and stuff, starting with certain shapes. So back to the drawing on stuff, it's the same thing. I'll get on a certain kick. I just went through and did a whole series of gorilla head paintings. And I sat down and started to figure out, a rhythm and formula for drawing gorilla heads. So then I just get that muscle memory, and then once you get a formula down, then you can start playing with it. You can stretch it here, stretch it there, change the eyes, change the emotion on the face, whatever. Definitely. So I think a lot of times, and I think after tattooing for so long too, you start to get confident, and you've done a lot of the same things, daggers, roses, whatever, so many times that you have those skills. Mm-hmm. You have those brushes in your wheelhouse, and you can just boop, boop, pop them in there.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Super interesting. And how long did you work in Philly for?
Maybe at most a year. Yeah. Like 6 months to a year. That was like the first big city that I moved to. Prior to that, one of the first guys, notable guys that really helped me out was Jeff Zuck.
Okay.
He had posted something on the Reed Street forum that he was looking for someone, and went out and spent a week with him, and it was incredible. Came back and just tattooed totally different and learned so much just from that 1 week experience.
He definitely has a out of the box style for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, Jeff is one of those guys that is just such a great example of constantly reinventing himself and in cool ways. He's gone through and done so many different styles, from the new school stuff and then into the Japanese, and always dabbling in traditional. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And how long were you working with him for?
I just went out there for a week, and unfortunately I wasn't able to take the job at the time. I had a girlfriend. She didn't want to move, and
yeah, I remember the story yesterday.
Yeah. Didn't work out.
Always getting in the way.
Vowed to myself after that I was going to turn down no other opportunities and focus on tattooing, and I pretty much did.
And besides in Sweden, any other places you worked at in Europe?
Well, when I first went over there, I through friends, I got in contact with Theo Jack, and Theo Jack invited me out, and I went and worked at his place. And I went out there for a week prior to us moving there, just to try it out and stuff. And from what I remember, the job was like offered to me, and it was a bit of a travel. I think it would have been around like an hour and a half train ride each way. So I would have been looking at like 3 hours, and our son was maybe just about 1 year old, and in case something happened, I didn't want to be that far away.
Of course.
And I ended up just taking a job at a shop in Västerås. And it was a little slower paced than what I was used to, but
yeah,
it was great to be there and be around family. My wife's family is amazing.
Yeah, it's quite a culture shock.
Yeah,
because I just moved out to Denmark, and we're all humans, but we all have different ways of living.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit, and like definitely the darkness.
Yeah, the darkness. That's the one thing I'm trying to get adjusted to. But yeah, the work out there is great. It's fun, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. Like, what a great place to be working.
Yeah, definitely.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I couldn't have planned it better.
Yeah,
it just kind of felt like it fell in my lap, which was good.
You only worked 6 months with me. You couldn't have planned it better. I was scared of you that fast.
Like I said, I couldn't have planned it better. Johannes was the reason why I went to Good Faith, and the reason why I left.
You're welcome.
It really, I don't want to talk about it on air.
What happened?
Huh? Well, all right.
I'll
talk about it. He'd come up behind me while tattooing.
I bet. I mean, how couldn't you? He's such a sexy man. That Boston accent.
Isn't it weird?
Born and raised.
Why you keep on interrupting this podcast?
I'm sorry, man.
You already had your podcast. It's okay.
It's all those mini fireballs.
They're adding up.
Totally.
I feel bad because I don't know you well enough yet.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I wonder how this is going to go.
But it's going to go fine.
Give us some funny stories.
Yeah, you got some funny stories, right?
You got a lot of them.
I don't know.
Leave Johannes out of it, though.
It's hard when you're like put on the spot.
Yeah.
You know?
Any knife fight stories? I always like knife fight stories.
It's a touchy subject.
Okay. They still haven't found. Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, I get asked that all the time.
What's that?
What's the weirdest tattoo?
No, I hate that. I hate that one. What are you, 12? Let's get a serious question in.
Okay.
I like Randy's question. What's some of your tattoo stories about getting tattooed or being around?
Oh, I've had some bad ones. I've had some really bad ones. I'm like the guy that gets the bad tattoos from really good tattooers. And I'd thought that for a while in my own head and never repeated it out loud until like a buddy, one of a guy I worked with before, he said the same thing. I was like, you too? You think that? And he's like, oh yeah. It's got to be a thing. I've met other guys in the same boat. Like, for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe you just catch the guy on the off day, or you hit him with something that they're just not that into. I don't know.
Maybe you're asking for the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Like what? You don't have to name any names, but it looks like you have pretty good tattoos from here.
My whole left arm is a black mess.
Let me put some glasses on and all.
Triple blast over.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to the point where, like what we were talking about in the beginning of the podcast, we're all probably going to just take off our shirts and.
Yeah, I mean, most of my stuff you can't even see. Like most of the good stuff I have is torso and like upper legs and back.
Mm-hmm.
I spent most of my money partying.
Yeah.
I wasn't preoccupied with that in my 20s, and I wasn't smart enough to go get good tattoos.
I was pretty much not tattooed that heavily until recently, and same reason. I just wanted to party and go around and tattoo just as much as allow myself to party more. But it was when I guess smart enough not to get tattooed by all of my friends and just like hold out, and then eventually was able to get some cooler stuff later on.
I mean, I wish I would have done that. I started tattooing pretty young. Like I started apprenticing when I was 17, and wasn't the best shop to start out in. The guy that was like showing me and put a machine in my hand was just like, yeah, anytime you want to tattoo yourself, just grab my stuff, go for it, So of course, in like young, tattooing my forearms myself because I wanted to have tattoos, Wasn't till probably like the last 10 years I've started to get some really good tattoos and have good experiences.
Mm-hmm. Do you do much conventions?
Since I came back to the States, I've been trying to do a lot more and get out there and see old friends, meet new people, and just work. And it's been great. I've tried to keep it to smaller conventions. There's a lot of really cool smaller conventions that are focused more on just good tattooing.
Yeah, that's what I feel about this one here.
Not like the crazy conventions with 600 booths or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the small Hudson Valley convention. We just did that, and it was great. Pagoda City one's always been good. It's nice to just be able to walk around and say hi to old friends and meet new people, and everybody seems to know each other in one way or another.
Right.
Have mutual friends, and it's just nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I'm happy to get to meet you. This is one of the reasons why I like doing conventions, other than tattooing at them, but getting to meet you and hopefully to continue a friendship.
Get to hear stories about.
We're going to get the good stories after the mics are off. Where can we find you now?
I work at Key City Tattoo in Frederick, Maryland, and then I also work at Tattoo Paradise in Wheaton, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 different locations. Sometimes I work at the DC shop, but mainly at the Wheaton shop, just on Fridays.
Nice.
And then my Instagram is Glessner Tattoo. And I think that's it.
That's awesome.
Do you need my Tinder?
I would like it. I mean, we're face to face, so
You need my Grinder, my Christian Mingle.
do I need it?
Yeah, farmers only.
Farmers only. Really?
Yeah.
My goodness. I love you, Nick. Awesome. Well, I want to hug, and if there's anything else you want to add, or
I want to thank everyone that's helped me out along the way. I've worked with a lot of different tattooers, and mainly Matt Rinks and Seth Safari and Jeff Zock and Brad Kendall and Adam Shields, and Johannes over here. There's a lot of names that have really helped me out, and just hope everybody that has helped me out knows that if I forgot to thank them,
awesome.
It's been interesting. It's weird. I've never done one of these things.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. It is weird to talk and have something in your face.
Yeah, I hope it's not too stale.
No, it's perfect. Love it.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's even weirder when you actually know you just asking you questions that he fucking knows. Yeah. At least that's like an honest interview. Yeah. So, how long you been tattooing, Luke?
That's what I thought was weird when I was sitting there. I was like, you know the answer to this, dude. Like,
But the world doesn't look like